Finally, and this is really important, I mean, after all is said and done, should we regard this call for the capping of the justice to the Supreme Court as a demand-driven one, as the optimal number is best left to demonstrable need?
Definitely. And demonstrable need would be all the way from demographics and to scientific study of the trend in petitions and applications and various forms of seizing the court for cases, how many appeals, and so on and so forth. That is what will drive it. Because I can also envisage that you cap at, let's say, 27, and even have 2 or 3 different chambers. And one chamber, somebody is busier than the other person. Demand. Or you decide to even cap at 15, but for the next 5 years, I can imagine that for the next 5 years, you'll be using all the 15 almost simultaneously. Okay. But after a time, you may find that the steam is out, and on the whole, you don't get so much or so many of appeals anymore. I remember in terms of types of cases, because as I said, the Supreme Court has, if you go by subject matter and areas, the Supreme Court's jurisdiction covers about 12 different areas. So chieftaincy appeals. Oh, we used to have so many chieftaincy appeals, this thick and all that. By the time, I think when I was Chief Justice, I don't recall more than 4 or 5 during that period. Yes, and even before that, I can't really remember any chieftaincy appeal that came. Why? Because the trend has changed, and enough decisions have been given for you to advise you as to the chances of your appeal succeeding. Yes, and another trend, I suppose, would be, let's say, human rights cases, and so on and so forth. So these are times, trends, and therefore demand. Yes. So how are you going to fix the top side? And then you find that, you don't even, this top side is ridiculous. Yes. But then in some places, because the Supreme Court sometimes sits in different places and can sit in those different places at the same time. Oh, they've got lots of judges, over 30. I in my notes, I was looking at some of these. Yeah, but the U.S. Yeah, I have here the U.S. Supreme Court takes only about 5% of the cases that are filed because it filters, but we can't filter. Yes. So if suddenly everybody is asking for review, everybody is appealing, there are more chieftaincy appeals coming again, and every criminal is also appealing. Criminal appeal is very minimal, believe it or not, because maybe it's not lucrative for the lawyers, or because the people can't afford it, or whatever. But if something changes, you don't know. So it can be high, it can be low. Just don't fall below your 11. because the 11 works well, because there can be recusals, there can be ill health, there can be, I recall that when I was on the Supreme Court and at the same time also a judge at the African Court, I was doing cases, but the Chief Justice reduced my load. So that I did not keep, I wasn't overloaded by the multi, yes, right, exactly, and so on. And I mean, because right now there's a judge who's, I think, on the ICC. Yes. We don't know how much demand that's going to make on his time, whether he's even working here or there. Still, there's demand on time, on focus, and everything. So there can be so many reasons why even this conventional 11, sometimes suddenly you find that those that are actually available are fewer because of ill health and so many things, because it's not young men and women who go to the Supreme Court.
Justice Sophia Akuffo, thank you so much for this. And I just hope that this detailed analysis and explanation would put to rest some of the questions that people raise about whether or not the number of justices at the Supreme Court should be capped, or we should go by the constitutional provision as it stands now. I'm sure the debates and the jury is out there on this matter. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.